Welcome back to another Bolt Action Alliance battle report. Today me and Colby are going to throw down 1250 of kind of random stuff. I'm taking a tank company. Colby's taking, looks like a Fallschirmjäger infantry company, fighting somewhere in Russia, probably like a 1943, 1942. We're doing just a homebrewed scenario. What we've got is we've got a objective right in the middle, and then we've got one here between that middle objective and this table edge, and then one over here between the middle objective and this table edge. I'm going to be coming on from this far corner over here, Colby in this corner here. We both got a little trench action that we can take advantage of. We're going to be deploying, well, we're not going to deploy anyone on the table.
First wave.
We're going to do first wave, and then we're going to do reserve. So your first wave will come on from your table corner within 12 inches of your table corner, and then your reserves will come on from your board edge. So Colby's board edge will be this one here, and mine will be the one over there.
We doing any outflank?
We will do outflank as well. I want to go ahead and show you guys the armies now. So I'm kind of spamming Colby with inexperienced troops. I've got one squad of regular cav and one command tank that's regular. Everything else in my army is inexperienced. So I've got two T-34s that are inexperienced to go with the regular T-34. I've got two 12-man rifle squads. One's the free squad, both upgraded with Molotov cocktails. They're in trucks. I've got inexperienced senior lieutenant, a commissar, and a spotter, artillery spotter, to keep those troops moving. And then I've got the artillery battery in the back. I've got a heavy howitzer, a medium mortar. Both of those have spotters and a Katyusha. And then, like I said, I've got a 10-man squad of regular cav. We're going to see how that works. I'm assuming that'll probably get beat up pretty bad, but I've got 17 order dice. Over here. Colby, what do you have?
14 order dice, a mix of Fallschirmjäger and just infantry guys. All vets except for mortar. The Pack 40 is a regular. The Panzerschreck team is inexperienced, and yeah, everything else is. Oh, the truck is just I think just a normal.
So I think Colby's got quite a bit of stuff that can shred my trucks and my artillery and cavalry. He doesn't have a lot of stuff to deal with the tanks. He's got.
I got a Pack 40 and I got a Panzerschreck team.
But you've also got the drilling and the. Do you have two medium howitzers in there, or just the one? Just the one on the truck or on the recce car. And so you'll be able to put pins, and that can shut down those tanks pretty good. Before we get started, I want to talk about the terrain that we have in today's game. We've got kind of a Russian village here. I've got high grass, and the way we use this is that any infantry teams that are in the high grass count as being concealed and getting soft cover. I've got a little pig farm here. This doesn't give you any cover, but it's slow going, difficult ground, whatever it's called, rough ground. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head how they term that in Bolt Action. So that's going to affect like your ability to run or tracked vehicles. Got two trench lines. These are from, I believe I got these from Company B. So there's one there. And then I've got one over here. And the way we play our trench lines, Warlord had a supplement for a scenario that talked about trench lines being soft cover. We don't play that way because trench lines really should be hard cover. So they're going to be hard cover, and then in addition to that, any teams that are in the trench line count as being down when targeted by HE. They don't get the extra to hit bonus, the minus for being down, but they do get half casualties if they are hit. In addition to that, troops on one side of the trench line who are not in the trench line, if they're on one side of it, can shoot over the top of that trench line. Their friendly figures don't block line of sight. Got some homemade vineyards here. That's rough ground and light cover, and when we play that, because they're vineyards, that wheeled vehicles can't go in them. Scattered terrain, the chicken coop is just a blocking terrain. You can get some cover behind the actual chickens themselves for nothing. And we've got an outhouse here, which counts as a small building. I guess you could, if you wanted to, throw like a spotter in there. And then we've got a little garden there, which is rough ground, and then a piece of linear terrain with that fence. Trees are light cover if they obscure sight. Otherwise, they're just kind of scattered terrain. The fences are going to be light cover as well. Buildings, of course, will be buildings. And then I've got this road right down the middle. I've got, I like to use fleece blankets or big pieces of fleece for my mats, and usually what I do is on one side they're blank, and then on the other side for when we play tournaments or have lots of tables going, I'll spray paint roads or different features on them so that setting up the terrain is really fast and really easy. So we've got a road down the middle. I don't know how well you can see it from the video, but that road kind of undulates over several series of hills. So there's a lot of good little dips and valleys here that obscure line of sight that troops will probably take advantage of as they advance forward and secure objectives in this game. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. And real quick, we want to let you know what our plans were for first wave and outflanks and everything. I'm going to bring on my mortar with a truck, my heavy artillery with a truck, my Katusha, as well as all my command stuff in this Jeep. I have 17 total order dice, that's 19, because the officer, spotter, commissar, and truck are each their own order dice. Everything else is coming in regular, with the exception of one truck full of bros, and the cavalry, both of those are going to be coming on in outflank. Great. And then Colby over here, what do you have as far as, what's your game plan to stop this red tide of inexperience?
Luck.
Well, you need to have some sort of strategy. Who are you going to have come on first wave, and what about reserves and outflank?
So first wave, we're just going to bring on the bros up here, and then just regular, pretty much the rest of these guys, and then outflank we got the truck and an assault squad of FJs.
Sounds good. So you got a truck full of FJs with assault rifles coming in and outflank. You've got a whole bunch of infantry. It looks like a mortar and a machine gun coming in first wave, and everything else is going to be in reserves, and they're going to react to whatever I do. All right, we're going to go ahead and draw dice, play the first turn, and we'll give you an update here in a second. All right, turn one is over. Colby has moved up a lot of his stuff into this trench here. Looks like you've got a machine gun and a squad.
Yep.
The squad's got 2 light machine guns in it.
Yes.
And they've got pretty good field of fire over the objective there on the hill. He's got a medium mortar in the back here that also can see the hill, and he's got another squad of FJ advancing up the flank towards this objective over here. He has a third squad that's moving through the orchard here towards this building, and then over towards that objective. Maybe they'll steal some chickens on the way. On the other side, the Soviet God of War battery has deployed. So this God of War battery that I've so strategically designed and set up is a heavy mortar, a Katusha, and a heavy howitzer, pretty much going to lock down the middle. I brought on my officer and commissar, as well as my artillery spotter, and they're getting ready to unleash some fury on the Germans. Up next, we're going to be going into turn 2. We've got a lot of troops off the board that'll be coming in. Typical uneventful turn 1 of bolt action, a lot of guys getting down orders, or going down as it were. Yeah. And we're probably going to start seeing a little bit of combat here before we really start to mix it up. So we're going to go ahead and put the dice back in the bag. I think it's Colby's turn to draw, and we'll be back at the end of turn 2 with an update on... All right, so we had a pretty interesting turn 2.
We had some carnage.
Some carnage, a little bit of action, a little more than I expected. First is my heavy howitzer, first time on the table, not even fired a shot in anger, got knocked out. Got hit by Colby's medium mortar, ranged in. Didn't do any casualties, just did a pin. But then this recce vehicle here, little shit, rolled up, fired into him, scored 3 hits. All of them were 6s, and then exceptional damage to knocked out the gun. So it is destroyed. I had some good shooting. I had my Katusha fire, and it launched rockets into the trench line, and there's 4 units in the trench line. I scored hits on 2 of them. Downside, only got 1 kill.
1 kill.
And only caused 1 pin on each of the units that was hit.
Right.
And then one of them had it activated, and then he did. And so really I got 1 kill and 1 pin out of that. Yippee! But this mortar team that hit my heavy artillery, you can see that tank skulking up through the bushes over there. He opened up with his machine gun, and even though he's inexperienced and it was long range and move and all that, I managed to kill 2 guys. So he's got a pin on him and is down to 1 figure. Move guys up into this building here, kind of looking across the way at that tank. I moved this tank up here. He shot at the recce vehicle, but he moved away. And then Colby's brought up a bunch of reserves here in the field, and he's put another squad in that building. I've got my medium or my heavy mortar trying to range in on that right now. Tried to bring on a 3rd tank. He failed to come on, and Colby tried to bring on its drilling, which failed to come on. We're going to go ahead and resolve this artillery attack at the beginning of turn 3. I called in my artillery barrage, to try to blunt this advance over here. Maybe I can roll big and catch that recce car in there too. My hope is though that this kind of stymies this and I can push forward, bring on that other tank. Got outflankers coming on this turn, so maybe that'll help too. So we're going to go ahead and resolve that, and then we will be back at the end of turn 3 for an update. Right, we're done with turn 3. Oh, it's turn 3, right? Yeah, turn 3. That turn did not go as well for the Soviets as we wanted it to. First, no, it went terrible for the Soviets. It went much better for the Germans. So the artillery barrage ended up being delayed instead of coming in. And then that stupid recce vehicle, like sniper shot the artillery spotter and killed him. So he is now dead, laying on the side of this trench. The Katyusha fired again, didn't get any hits. Medium mortar fired again, missed. Luckily, you didn't really knock anything out, although the Pak-40 did immobilize my command tank. We got a Panzerschreck sneaking up on the side of these guys. Otherwise, things stayed pretty static. There's a whole lot of Germans over in this village vicinity holding on that objective. Currently, I control the middle objective. I had to go off of that far objective, but I was the last one to be in contact with it. He still has a squad in here, though, and a whole lot of stuff back in the backfield, which has a good field of view defending this corner. So we're going to go into turn 4. My tank that didn't make it on last turn didn't make it on again this turn, and because of the way things kind of shook out, I decided not to bring on any of my outflankers. Colby held his outflankers off as well. We're going to go into turn 4, and we'll check back in with you guys when we're done. Right, as Colby just so poetically put it, off camera, shit just got real. That was quite the eventful turn. I think this turn Colby ended up taking out my heavy mortar, who, continued to fail to range in on a house the size of a barn full of bros. So that kind of sucked. So they're all dead back here. Katyusha also fired on the house and failed to range in on any of the 7 units that were clustered around that, which was BS. But the cool thing that happened this turn is finally knocked out that recce vehicle. Colby decided to take a chance and not recce away, and I cracked him wide open with this T-34 here, number 49, lucky number 49. But then Hero of Soviet Union, he is definitely honorary red banner winner. Although he did get hit with a Panzerfaust shot.
Panzerfaust, yeah.
And took 2 pins. So this officer, he's run up to try to give him a little Soviet courage. Pulled the troops out of the trench, moving over here to defend the middle objective or contest it. This idiot in number 22, probably because I accidentally painted the 22 backwards. 2 turns in a row, he has foobarred. Yep. Luckily, he's only got the panic and run away result. And since he's immobilized, he's not going anywhere. Colby moved some troops out over here. I brought on my outflankers, which was a truck full of inexperienced dudes. They gunned down what was left of the mortar. And then, very last order dice of the turn, my cav came on. We are really, really pulling on the Russian side for a good string of Soviet dice to come out first. If I can do that, I think I can lock down this flank if Colby gets to go first, which is entirely plausible because it seems like the last several turns, the first 5 or 6 dice that come out of the bag have been German dice. And so that, the black dice, it's not been good for me. I typically take it on the chin the first half of the turn. So hopefully we get some Soviet dice in there and we can get this charge off, maybe multiple assaults off. That would be, how awesome would that be? He still has a squad full of assault rifles in here, so like I said, if they get a couple of dice pulled here between this squad, that squad, and the drilling over here, and the machine gun down there. It could get real ugly real fast. There could just be loaded up Soviet bodies. But if I get to go first, if the Soviets go first, we could definitely get some good charges off and kind of secure this flank. Still have a tank off board in reserve. Colby still's got a squad and a truck in outflank, kind of turtled up here in Ala mode. He kind of guarding his flank with that medium machine gun in case some outflankers came in, but they're not. Got a squad in that house, squad in the field. His Pac 40, still doing pretty good, taking pot shots. So we are going to go into the 5th turn, and we will be back and give you an update as soon as that turn's over. All right, that turn was absolutely disgusting.
That was epic.
Epically, absolutely disgusting. First, as you've probably seen from the pictures, the Cav got their charge off.
They did.
First die, green die, red banner of courage, Soviets charge in.
Deleted my squad.
Didn't just delete them.
Slaughter.
If delete was spelled slaughter. Slaughtered. I think I got 16 hits on these guys with the full-size Cav squad, which I think was 10 bros, and just annihilated them. But then Colby decided he never wanted to experience a cavalry charge again. And this is the first cavalry charge that he has experienced. So he unloaded into the Cav and slaughtered a bunch of Cav in return. And the Cav, they failed their morale test and broke and ran. They took more than half casualties from what they had, and that was it, and they were gone.
Who took those guys out?
It was these
FJ.
guys. Yeah, these FJ back here.
FJ Revenge.
Came in from reserve, shot them up. That was it. These inexperienced guys outside of the truck, they lost half their manpower from a variety of shooting, including from the drilling fired at them, the machine gun fired at them, Steiner in the trench line, he fired at them, and so they got beat up really bad. Guys had their truck knocked out by the Panzerschreck and then were lit up by a squad of infantry and lost 4 guys in the process. But then when the Soviets thought that all was lost, when they thought that all was forsaken in the motherland and that they were on the ropes after losing so many of their brave sons and fathers and uncles and grandfathers, the mighty Katusha, Stalin's organ, lit up the sky with fire
and brimstone
that the world had never seen.
They put down their vodka
And leveled the Germans over here. The Germans had just an insane like defensive position around this cottage, and the Katusha ranged in twice.
Took out 2 squads.
The squad in the building and the squad here that moved out.
One survivor.
Guy here, he is all that remains of those squads. Those Katushas were disgusting. So this tank backed up. That tank fired its machine guns and did nothing. Came on the board. And so we're going into turn 6. Current score is Russians hold this objective. This objective is contested between those 2 units, and the Germans hold this objective. So, going into turn 6, maybe there'll be a turn 7, maybe there won't, and we'll see how this one goes, and we'll update you when we come back. All right, that turn was not as brutal as turn 5, but it was very deadly. Katusha again ranged in. This time took out the German officer and the Pac 40. So there's literally like nothing left of this German flank, which surprises me because on the into turn 4, I felt like Colby could just steamroll forward and just annihilate me. Stupid tank keeps backing up, so I got all cheesy and I placed the officer behind him so that if he fails his morale to activate, he can't actually move backwards because he can't run his own guys over. There's a German machine gun in this building. Still holding down this objective though. Drilling moved up. Colby's hoping for a turn 7 so he can try to get in here and kill the troops in the trench or in this road ditch here and finally secure that objective.
There's also a little bro kind of in the woods there. You can see him.
Squad of guys who have advanced up, also pushing on the center objective. These guys, they didn't take any casualties last turn, but they didn't activate either. They're just getting piled on with pins from Steiner and the medium machine gun in the trench. Guys in the building are giving good covering fire to the guys advancing. I've pushed this tank up in the hopes that it kind of puts a bubble around this objective if we do go to a turn 7. Guys here tried to launch an assault against the Panzerfaust team, or Panzerschreck team that was on the other side of that fence. They failed. Commissar shot a guy, and the Commissar tried to assault. Commissar died, and then that tank over there just gunned down the Panzerschreck in the end. This tank tried to put a shot on the drilling, but missed. So we are going to, right now, roll a die to see if we go into turn 7. Colby's going to do the honors. 4, 5, or 6, we play one more turn. 4. So we will get back to you at the end of turn 7. All right, that's the end of turn 7, and what a turn 7 it was. Outcome from the game, or at the outcome of turn 7, all objectives contested. So Colby moved this squad out. I tried to turn my tank around and shoot him up, but it didn't work. So he ended up being able to contest this objective over here. The Germans poured all the fire they could onto these 3 lonely, inexperienced guys down there in the road. They went down, and he just whiffed his hits and whiffed his casualty rolls. So they are contesting that from the Germans. I was unable to get tank number 22 to knock out the drilling or anyone else that was contesting that in the middle. Right here, this tank was able to finally activate after like 4 turns of doing nothing, and he moved up to contest the objective on this flank. And in a last-ditch effort, my officer assaulted the MMG in the building, who was down to 2 crew members. I killed 1. Colby rolled back and managed to kill the officer, so I was down to the wire. If I would have been able to pull that one off and not have Colby hit me back at all, then he would not have anyone over on this side to contest. Katusha tried to range in. 2 turns of devastating fire was more than enough for the dice gods, and Katusha missed, which was a disappointment for the Russians. These guys assaulted down the trench and were able to take out Steiner. Overall, it was a great game. It was a lot of fun. Me and Colby haven't played bolt action since our tournament in September. Just a lot going on in the fall here up north. And it was good to get a really good game in. It was very close. It was very tight. We agreed that Colby should have probably really pushed this flank early on and just overran the artillery position that I had set up, because my tanks were slow to arrive and were pinned down. I really didn't have a response to his armor, and he could have just taken out the Katusha and this whole corner, and probably would have been lights out for the Russians much earlier in the game. My outflank over here was really effective. Even though pretty much everyone died, it stalled Colby a turn or 2, and it was pretty much exactly what I needed to stop him from taking these 2 objectives. I think if I wouldn't have been able to pull that off, and if he was able to gun down my cav before they at least got a charge in, he would have been able to move up, grab these 2 objectives, and hold them, because I didn't have a lot in the way of infantry or things that could counterattack. Had fun with the list. It was just kind of screwing around when I built it. I thought, why don't I take a whole bunch of inexperienced Russians and load up on the indirect fire? It was a bummer to see the big gun go out without a shot, but the Katusha definitely came through in a pinch. Anyone interested in getting a Katusha, they're gorgeous. Look at them. And those are from Mad Bob. Mad Bob Miniatures, yep. Had a great game. Thanks for watching. Leave any feedback that you want, and stay tuned and subscribe to Bolt Action Alliance. And check us out on wwpd.net as a part of that group and the forum there. And let us know what you think. And come back for more battle reports, reviews, painting tutorials, and other Bolt Action goodness. Happy gaming.